This episode is brought to you by Bleacher Report. How do you follow sports? From college football to the NBA, Bleacher Report brings you the latest news, live scores, and epic highlights from your favorite leagues, teams, and athletes, all in one app. Dive into exclusive shows hosted by your favorite athletes and original Bleacher Report series with breaking news, rumors, and predictions all season long. Download Bleacher Report to personalize your coverage.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for adults with migraine with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents, on average, 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Ask your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. We are back with the full team. First one after Christmas for the hardest working man on Anfield Index. It's Dr. Phil Barter. Evening, Phil.
How are we doing? Not bad, boys. Hopefully internet's better this time round.
Yeah. How many pods this week so far, even though it's Christmas? At least 16.
Yeah, at least 2, yeah. So.
And fresh from his Christmas assignment for the Times of London, it's the boy wonder, Hamzah Khalid Luna. Evening, Hamzah. Where was your assignment yesterday? Where was your Christmas game?
Good evening, everyone. Hello. Hope you had a nice Christmas. I was at the King Power yesterday for City against Leicester, and for Boxing Day, I was at Wolves against Manchester United. So I've had the Manchester brief for the past week. Thankfully, that's over.
And which of the two Manchester teams is actually worse at this point in time? Because they're both bad, right? This is
Manchester United, because Manchester City still take shots. And if you still take shots, you can score goals. And United are quite easily, I think, the worst team at defending set pieces in the league. So yeah, City may be bad. They may not be able to run, but at least they can defend set pieces, and at least they still take shots.
Yeah, that's taking shots is an underrated thing in football, absolutely, which we will talk about because we had lots of shots in this. And the main reason you all listen to this show, it's Mr. Simon Brundish. Evening, Si. Happy birthday.
Evening, boys.
Was that yesterday or the day before?
Don't know. Saturday.
How many Ks did you run on your birthday to celebrate?
Oh, I think I did something around 16 on Saturday.
Wow. Tremendous stuff.
I'm very. It's the first birthday that I remember where I was very, very anti-aging. Being 50 is a big deal, so I was running away from it.
Well, you can get your free flu jab now.
Yeah, I'm still. I was gutted. I missed my free 40th checkup. I was planning to do it at some point while I was still 40, and then I still missed it.
Right. Okay, we are going to talk about West Ham United 0, Liverpool 5. And what an absolute rollicking game this was. Absolutely tremendous stuff. But we're going to start, as always, with that Liverpool lineup. And Si, just the one change. This continuity of selection thing we've got going this season is absolutely tremendous, isn't it?
Yeah. We're the biggest, as we pointed out before in the past. If your 8 most important players play, they're available for 85% of the time, you win the league. We're doing a very nice job of keeping as close to that as possible. We're as close to that as anybody in the league this season so far. And we're rotating as little as possible, aside from injuries. So when how this usually works is I typically, after the previous game, put the fatigue index into our chat, and I hadn't, and I posted it just before the game began. And sadly, it played out how I feared with the red lads, because we are messing with a bunch of lads what would be seen as in the traditional red zone. Both because of, obviously we've been through this, but because of the build up of minutes over the course of the season against what they're typically used to, but the acute chronic thing because it's a busy period and some lads have been forced in over a couple of weeks. So we've got a bunch of spikes. And one sadly didn't play out too well.
Yeah, I think with 6 of the 11 were in the red zone, weren't they, yesterday?
Yeah, that's right. And you just hope to get free. You've got a week off now.
Yeah. And I did ask you to look into how many starting 11 changes we'd made across all 18 league games so far, Si. And it was a pretty low number, wasn't it?
Average is 2.11 between Premier League games.
This is just crazy good, because unless somebody gets an injury, he's not really changing the 11, is he? To any great degree at all?
No. That's it. So over the course of the whole season, we're at 4.1, but that includes like 10 changes for EFL games. So Premier League to Premier League is 2.11. He knows exactly what he's doing. We talked at the beginning of the season when you got a new manager, that was the only opportunity you had to rehearse. So forget training, rehearse. And we've had one week since then when we had an opportunity to rehearse and on a training ground. And this is, I believe, he's weighed up physical toll against rehearsal and unifying cohesion, all that stuff. And we're refining our processes strategically, tactically, on pitch during games, because we don't have any other time to practice. So it's much easier for 14 lads to rehearse and practice together than it is if you're changing 4 lads every week that are coming in and creating new units. So there are 2 units that are rehearsing, and they're repeating it amongst specific sets of lads over and over again. So it seems like a really smart strategy, but there is a risk, and we're seeing it. The risk is one lad gets injured, which causes the next lad up, who's not got a high load, to play more than you'd expect, which causes a domino effect, which can, and it happened. And let's, fingers crossed, hope it's not going to, but we've got the second lad down.
Yeah, and there's talk that Bradley and Konate might be available for Man United, isn't it? I heard. Did I read that wrong? Barts, you're nodding. I think
I heard that as well. That's where I was slightly. You never happy to see a lad go down. And I love Joe Gomez, but I'd heard I think it was 24 hours before that Konate and Bradley weren't far away from United, so I was kind of like, all right, maybe we might have dodged a bullet there. But I mean, Quansah did fine, but it's still, you'd rather Konate and for United than
Absolutely. I think he was the only. I think until he got injured, I think Konate was the only serious rival to Mo Salah for Player of the Season.
100%. And Van Dijk been.
Yeah, absolutely. And And so we should talk a little bit about West Ham, Hamzah, because they're having the right old up and down season. But they had some issues as well. There was a lot of talk before the game about whether they were going to play a back four or back five, and there was a lot of conversation to slot in the pre-match interviews in Sky about what he was expecting to do and stuff. What was how did they do it, and what were you expecting them based on how Lopetegui's had them playing this season?
Well, the interesting thing is principally Alvarez, their midfielder, Edson Alvarez, signed him from Ajax, I believe. So he's comfortable dropping in, and sometimes, last season he played as a deep midfielder, and he didn't really vary that up much at all. This season, sometimes he drops into the back line to be an additional man, or sometimes, as in possession, or sometimes actually play a back five. So yeah, that was that was the wonder most people had, whether he would slot in and give them an extra man at the back. Because there's been a few things going on with West Ham this season. They've tried to change styles a bit. At the start of the season, I remember watching them live. They're trying to go man-to-man across the pitch. And when you look at that midfield and you go, I don't quite think that they've got the capacity for that, because physically, in terms of duels, in terms of spatial coverage, they're playing with Guido Rodriguez as well. They just didn't have enough space and legs to be able to jump up man-to-man, cover the space in behind, and press at the same time. So they're having trouble with that. But to run
Souček was out as well, wasn't he? As well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And it's interesting, Souček as well. Often he's deployed deeper, but I think he's actually best in that number 10 sort of space where he doesn't have to do as much. He doesn't have to cover the team as much in transition. And that's when he can be a box crashing player. And his height and physicality and his heading ability is actually quite useful in that role. But that's been a long-term thing West Ham have had since the Declan Rice days, because sometimes they'd swap them over so Rice could play a bit further forward, so he could dribble forward, and that meant they're a bit sort of more vulnerable in transition. But that's the heart of their problem. They still haven't resolved these long-standing issues in the squad, despite signing a number of new players. But sorry, Darth.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, the most, I guess, from a selfish Liverpool perspective, I guess the key decisions were the Wan-Bissaka at left back, and then the Emerson kind of at a left mid, when what at the left wing. I don't know what was he playing there. So I guess they were the two most important selections from there. Both players kind of out of position.
I was quite surprised by that, to be honest. Wan-Bissaka at left back in itself makes sense because of Salah being a left-footed player that likes to come inside. Yes, he can go on the outside. Yes, he's very dangerous down the outside, but that shooting ability that he has is usually one that he exercises on his left foot coming in, right? So having a right footer there, especially one that's able to play physically, has good legs, and is right-footed. So ideally, if he does come inside, you've got that little bit of an advantage there. That makes sense. Doubling up with Emerson, again, you go, well, that on paper, you go, why are you doing that? But when you think of that Liverpool right-hand side, you've got Salah and Alexander-Arnold. So having two defensive players there is a different way of approaching it. Sometimes you might come up against a team, you take Manchester United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and their response to us having Trent was to, and him and his specific attacking qualities was to say, actually, no, the way we're going to respond and we're going to counter this is to play Marcus Rashford, and we'll play him high and wide.
Pin him back,
and try and pin him back. And if Trent still goes forward, we've still got that space, that attacking outlet on the left. So there's different ways of approaching it. I think generally from top teams, you're going to have that latter approach where you stick with your attacking player and you try and still pose a threat. With other teams, and this may be something that other teams try, even though it didn't work, other managers may see this double up in particular and go, actually, maybe we can try that as well, because the reasons it didn't work for West Ham may not be the reasons it won't work for them. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. I didn't expect it, but I see the logic behind it. But as we'll come on to it, it wasn't quite executed properly.
You've been very generous there. You're very generous Times of London assessment there of the two players. I thought they were both garbage, but there you go, absolute garbage. So, but I mean, we can talk a lot. We'll talk a lot more detail about how good the Trent Alexander-Arnold Mo Salah linkup was in this match to come. But let's start with those headline match summaries first.
No problem. Yeah, lots to come on that. I think possession-wise, overall, I mean, we can always break it down, I suppose, but the 52 to 48 possession-wise, which might surprise a few people. Field tilt, though, as we always say, is probably I would say becoming a more realistic metric about how to gauge an attacking player of the side, 65 to 35. So we had 65% of our time in the defensive attacking in our attacking third. Sorry, we had 20 shots to 7, 13 on target to a 0. That's 0 West Ham shots on target, and
incredible. Yeah, and 13's rare. It's not 13 shots on target. It's very unusual.
It's very rare. I mean, both those metrics are rare for different reasons, right? So, 2 6-yard box shots to 0, 17 penalty box shots to 5. We had penalty box touches 45 to 18. Again, fairly dominant on that. 8 to 1. I've got big chances. I haven't checked whether that's got reach.
We've got a 9th in the end.
Got a 9th in the end. Yeah. And XG when I ran this, which was this morning, is 3.14 to us to 0.35 for them. Threat
shellacking.
And absolutely
shellacking. Yeah.
In some regards, the stats are better than Tottenham in some respects. Threat 2.63 to 1.21. Our conversion in and around the 120 mark, and we didn't let them get to the 30% conversion. So a pretty dominant performance for us in terms of pass success. 88% for us. I've tried to put in crosses as well, which was 17, I think, to their 9, which was down on the Leicester game. I think was it 50 crosses we had against Leicester? Was that right? I remember that.
Yeah. 50 crosses and 10 corners.
So that's quite a drop down and a change back in pattern. Going to looking at one of the key stories of the season is game stay. So we largely in game stay, up until garbage time, we only let them in our box 5 times for a touch, which is quite remarkable. We let them have 0.1 XG until garbage time. That is just pure dominance of a football match. Our conversion from threat to XG was around over 120% for both those periods. You know, even in garbage time, we were at a decent conversion rate.
Yeah.
And in terms of probabilities, just the 93% win rate for us away from home in the capital at West Ham, and 19% says that it should have been 3-0. 5-0 was actually the third lowest, so 4-0 was the next one. Sorry, 2-0 later. So in and around, still a garbage time win was the most dominant for us. So yeah, overall, I would say a very dominant performance, and in many regards more dominant than Tottenham away.
So that your homework, I guess, is to help explain why. If you do know some, stack me up, because we had somebody challenge the Monte Carlo last week in the Discord chat. I said, how on earth did, I think it was Tottenham, have a 3% chance of winning the match based on the shots that were out, because it was like 5.6 to 2. Yeah. But I'm guessing it's all because of that chance at 0-0 when it's effectively a big chance for them. So they could score that and then cling on to win 1-0. It's a 1% chance that West Ham win based on these numbers, isn't it?
Yeah. And with Tottenham, you've actually got to look at.
Hey, it's Austin James. If you're like me, trying to live your best life while living with diabetes, you can relate to worrying if you're doing a good job managing your diabetes. I use the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor to get real-time glucose readings and see the impact of every meal and activity to make better decisions. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor can help me live life with diabetes on my own terms, and it gives me more time for the things I love, like being a dad and a musician. Now this is progress. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Every day, supporters like you help the American Cancer Society improve the lives of people with cancer. Help end cancer as we know it, for everyone. Visit cancer.org to make a life-saving gift.
When you share your food, you share your heart. So what's on your table this holiday season? Save on your festive feast at Kroger with delicious deals on all the holiday classics. Or wow the crowd with something new, like a quinoa stuffed butternut squash. It's sure to add a pop of color to your spread. How about a sweet potato casserole with a crunchy oat streusel topping, made with care for the sweet tooth and the savory tooth? With Kroger, fill your table with love and watch as your guests' hearts get as full as their bellies. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted,
but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit libertyshield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
To a couple of they had bulks of XG. If you, I mean, there wasn't. They had a couple of 0.4 shots, didn't they?
They had a couple of
0.3, which therefore the Monte Carlo is going to look at and say, actually, if you play that out several times, you will score 4 in 10. You play that over 10,000, that gives you the percentage to go for. But yes, I would, of course, for homework, go and do a bit more explanation on that.
Yes, Monte Carlo. Maybe that's where maybe you can next do that with Dave when you do. Yeah, what is a Monte Carlo analysis? Yeah. Anyway, fun. Si, talking about fun. This game was fun, literally from the first minute. It was. I would say we were looking really threatening constantly, and it was just a dominant and impressive performance right from the kickoff.
Yeah, it was. We were really wide. They were spread, and they surprised me with how aggressive that they were trying to pursue the ball, and we just played it around them like lunatics. Traditionally, if you'd have put a Brazilian 10, if you'd have chosen to play a Brazilian 10 as part of your double pivot, and you were a top 4 side going away to play against that team, your eyes would light it. This is a real opportunity. And they basically play 2 10s. Paqueta works hard, and he loves to put a tackle in, but he's shit at that stuff. He is a threat, but him playing as part of the double pivot keeps him further away from goal, or it makes him having busted a nut to get close to your goal. So he's not in an optimal physiological state by the time he gets towards your goal. So instantly, as soon as I see that team sheet, I'm like, oh, okay, this is good for us. Not that it really matters for us because we're so much better than them. But I thought it was an interesting setup from us and from them that they played their 10, whose main role was to prevent the pass into the same as last week, into Grav. He was doing a one-on-one job with Grav. Grav, we expected it, we anticipated it, and we'd slotted Mac round. So when we talk of the 8 and the 6, he plays those dual roles. He was a 6 and an 8 for the first half an hour. And Grav was an 8 and a 6. And Grav pushed out a little bit. If you look at his touch maps, he's much more of a tunnel down your back inside in the half space.
It's the first time we've really seen it in the league where Mac is clearly in the 6th position and with Grav ahead of him. It's the first time I think all season, Si?
I think so. I think there have been moments for 10 minutes here or there. But yeah. This is the first time that's occurred. And when Trent was inverting, it wasn't pushing anybody over. It was squeezing Grav further up pitch, which was pushing Curtis left. Because Curtis was playing as a 10. He was playing as a dominant runner. And he only gave the ball away 3 times, which he does. He's very safe in his passing. But his threat comes without the ball, getting into the box. And I think 2 of our goals came because of his off-the-ball running, which people might not even notice. So we were crashing the box when we needed to. We were using the third man run a lot to stress their centre backs because I think they were. Hamzah will notice this better because he's probably seen them more than I have. But they were going a little bit too man to man for my liking as well. It looked like Slot had spot this. It looked like a tactical masterclass. He had Diaz, who had no intention of being anywhere near a centre-back, dropping in. Curtis kept running in between each of the centre-backs to try to commit them. But then, not only that, he was then curving and coming back out, and they were coming with him. It was genius. So then it was causing all this instability all over the place. When they'd set up with this idea that Emerson was going to double bank with their left back and cover cover Mo, and it just didn't happen because we'd flooded his zone because we got Grav over there as well.
So just on the McAllister thing, your reason of it was a tactical tweak specifically to move Paquetá out of the deep that zone because he was following Grav more to the right hand side of the pitch. Is that what you said?
It was doing that. Grav, the Paquetá would have been with Mac, but he was still sitting deep. So Salah was the one that was supposed to be man marking Grav. So Mac dropped.
Oh, Salah, yeah. So yeah. Okay.
So they were kind of trying to utilize Salah like we use CJ.
Right. Yeah, but he's quite a limited player, to be fair. I think Salah. Hamzah, talk to me about. So Sai mentioned it there about the Diaz role because nominally on the team sheet he was in the centre forward position, but it didn't really play out like that at all. And as I said, he had no intention of going anywhere near a centre back. And talk to me about how we dovetailed with ostensibly two left wingers playing very, very similar roles and having such a dominant performance.
I think probably worth doing in possession, out of possession, because I think there's a couple of interesting things going there. In possession, so when we were building up deep, you would just see, as Si mentioned, Curtis joining the front line, and when he would do that, he would push straight through the middle, and usually Diaz at this point would just be sort of off centre, so just off to the left, and at this point he would then drop. So you'd see this nice rotation in between them, and Diaz would then show in field, sometimes come over closer to Salah, but he didn't really need to that often because Gravenberch was there. And other times he would then double up, as we said before, and this is a sort of theme that has occurred when both he and Gakpo play on the left side. So you then have a guy occupying the left wing zone, a guy occupying the left half space, and then also when Gakpo was receiving the ball and we were breaking forward and he was carrying the ball, you'd often see Robertson, that would be his trigger just to bomb forward. So sometimes he'd actually receive the ball on the edge of the final third, and Robertson would have been sitting deeper because at this point, let's say the ball built up on the right, Trent was in field, and Robertson's one of the back three on the left side. But as soon as Gakpo received the ball, that was his trigger to bomb on, and you'd see him appear out of frame and sprint forward, and that's how you can tell that he's actually built up speed. And there was a trigger just before Gakpo received the ball because he's sprinting on. So you had that element going on. Without the ball, there's something interesting going on as well. I saw a tweet that picked up on this actually about how Liverpool have tweaked that 4-2-4. So first of all, there was like at times, take the 5th minute of the match, you could see a 4-3-1-2. So Gakpo was dropping left into the 3.
He was in the second line. He was level with McAllister when West Ham had the ball.
Yeah,
and they were building. Gakpo was dropped into the second line. So
yeah,
I thought was really interesting.
I guess this is an interpretation whether you see it as a 4-3-1-2 or 4-4-2, but that's just it's actually semantics. The key thing here was that you had Salah and Diaz as the front two. Those guys were the narrow guys protecting. Yet Jones was behind them, and you had Gakpo on the left. As we've discussed before, with the 4-2-4, if you work your way around the outside, you can then expose the guys in midfield. And if one of them is McAllister, who's just not as quick or as dynamic as Gravenberch or Szoboszlai or Jones, and maybe you got Robertson there who you're a little bit concerned about as well, that might be an area to exploit. And if you can work it around that block, then you can attack it. However, if you've got Gakpo there, you've got someone who's quick, strong, can get up and down, can jump forward and join the press. And if he does do that, that's a trigger for Robertson to jump. But yeah, this seemed like a bit of a tweak. So sometimes we'd go man to man, but as soon as we dropped off, it was a 4-3-1-2 or 4-4-2, however you see it. And that meant that Diaz was playing more centrally, to come back to your point about what Diaz was doing and what he was doing specifically out of possession.
Yeah, I think there's no question that out of possession, Diaz was basically playing in the centre forward role, yeah. But in possession, what I thought as if he did drop into either the left wing or the left half space, then straight away Gakpo will just go and move over to the centre forward position, and vice versa. But it shows you how intelligent the players are, because Gakpo would do it as soon as Diaz. I watched it back this morning though, and as soon as Diaz went out to those positions and got on the ball, then Gakpo would just move seamlessly in field to that position. And it just helps having players with high football IQs, I guess, Hamzah, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and it comes down again to sort of positional play and where you want to attack. So you want, as we've discussed before, the wide areas, you want to have a player there to just stretch the play. You want to play in the half space, you want to play for the centre. Once you've got that structure, then you can think about overloads. Because the idea is that, let's say you're going to overload the left side with the intention of clustering play there, either to break through it or to underload the opposite side. If the latter, then you're going to need someone out on the opposite side on that right wing spot or in the right half space to receive the ball. And we're doing that to Salah sometimes, often, because, that's a great way to isolate a defender on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Cluster play on the left and then snap it over to the right. And one other thing I thought was interesting, at least, it almost semi-rehearsed routines on the right, where you'd see Gravenberch, Trent, and Salah clustered together. The ball will go into them. Let's say it's Salah on the right. He would pop a pass back to Gravenberch or Trent. In fact, there's a nice example in the first half, in the 14th minute, where exactly this happens. The ball goes right. Salah pops it to Gravenberch. As soon as he pops it, he pops it to Trent. As soon as he pops it, Gravenberch sprints in behind, Salah sprints in behind, and then Trent plays the pass in behind, so both of them can run onto it. It's about occupying the same spaces, either to underload or overload at other points on the pitch. I think that's the idea.
Yeah. But I think that the data was the stats pack shows some of these stuff we've been talking about beautifully. And these four players. Anything you want to add on Mac, Grav, Cody, or Diaz and our setup and the way we played that first half?
Yeah, I think the past match show exactly what you guys have just said in terms of Mac's deeper, but you've got there's a group of players on the left and a group of players on the right. But I thought it was interesting how we largely didn't. There's not a great deal of strong lines in the middle of the pitch. The strong lines are forming two big triangles on the left and right, which is quite balanced. And you've got Mo and Cody is the furthest point forward in the past maps, but I completely get the point. He was rotating with Diaz at certain points in the play, but you've got these two distinct forwards really high up, and then you've got the links, and they're really strong links between finding those four players. But then just to step a box down from that, you've got a strong triangle creating on both sides. It's quite nice. I thought that was quite a nice way we kind of seemingly said to West Ham, well, we're not going to bother you. We're just going to play through these areas. And, you can come out here if you want to, but we know you're not physically able to do that. So we'll just play through these areas. I thought off the ball, in terms of looking at defensive actions, what we did, which I've done through the comment bits, is first half, we did the same thing.
It's tremendous, by the way. Absolutely tremendous addition, that is. I never got a chance to speak to you about it when you first started there. Amazing.
We win the ball and then we're playing it out wide. It's a very distinct. We're not looking to play for the middle. We're winning it and getting it out wide. And we did the same thing at Tottenham and it worked brilliantly. And it was just so apparent that we're looking to do that. It's great to see. If you look at the numbers that pick up the receive the pass, you can see those mixes that are happening. You've got 17. You've got Mac, Curtis, and Cody on the left. On the right, you've got the three players we're talking about, Grav, all picking them receiving. So I think it's really, really interesting. And I also will come on the second half, but I do like this distinct change between first and second half in terms of tactics. And that is appearing in the viz more and more. Just to back up Si's point about CJ, that boy, I mean, the area he covers, I know it's an average position, therefore he's effectively covering three, four boxes in the 10 zone. That is a remarkably big area to cover away from home. Everyone else has got these defined areas. CJ's base at this big, long trench between the two, linking it up, making sure off the ball I'm here, on the ball here. It just a remarkably well-tuned system, I thought, which is for us to basically exploit West Ham's weaknesses, allow us to play in the areas we wanted to play in and not where West Ham wanted us to play.
I think the most impressive thing for me, Barts, is that this is you could call it a horses for courses approach because we haven't seen it before, but it's yet another example of the manager coming up with specific tactical plans to win the game in front of him, even if it's not some. And there was a fantastic piece in the Athletic about other people in the league talking about Slot, other players from other clubs and managers and executives from other clubs talking about Slot's impact. And one of them said, "Oh yeah, our manager just couldn't keep pace with all the changes that he was making. He did unexpected stuff at the start. He was constantly tweaking it in game after 10, 20 minutes, and our coach just couldn't keep up with it all. And he's just. I think the way he sees it, he's so sharp. He looks at and analyzes things so quickly, doesn't he, Bart?
Yeah, it's just. Even if you break the game down to periods, so having just said our pass maps look like we're going through wide, you look at the period just before half time, we then go back to utilising the half space in zone 14 in terms of the pass maps through there. And then again, after half time between 60 and 70, we use those periods. And then we go, do you know what, we're not going to play it anymore. We're going to do something else. It's like he's consistently saying, like you said, right, we've dominated this period. What am I going to do for the next period? I'll do this. I'll make some change with the subs, but they'll do something different. And we'll mix it up again. It just is consistently changing the way in which he's trying to cause stress to the opposition until he's done. And he says, and there's a clear shut-off point, normally garbage time. Right, we're done now. And the DA show you that as well. We drop off, we sit in and we say, go on, then we've finished tweaking now. We're just going to sit in and you can do what you want to do. And that's largely where opposition do create XG. But until that point, I love the way he just consistently, can we do this? Can we do that? Can we cause stress here? Can we cause stress here? And then the opposition will break and we'll score. It's very machine-like, not in a Klopp way, which was heavy metal machine. This is a very methodical, but still a very structured way in which we're going about imposing the way we want to play on the opposition. And I am actually really intrigued, probably size as well. 5 days of training on a pitch with a set to try out some new things. I think we could see an evolution, because we've largely said our number 9 is not involved, right? Largely our number 9 is not involved in play, and I just wonder whether 5 days is long enough to try and develop that part of the pattern of play. I'd just be intrigued to see the next game.
Although I did think, obviously it was garbage time though, but when Jota came on, he was very involved. Yeah,
but a large part of the game. You look at all the data bits, the 9 is still not in the 9 area.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked on the last pod on Leicester pod about Mo Salah again. I think it was 18 touches in the box. He went and beat that in this game with 19. We had people. I saw somebody on the internet quoting your Mo Salah gets so and so touches, we win the game. Over 50 touches and stuff. 55. I think it wasn't his touches in this game.
55 touches, in this one,
yeah, but StatsBomb have given him a 1.94 expected threat, which is all that on-ball value. I don't think I've ever seen a figure that high for a player in a single match. Bart, you've given him 1.2, I think, on your OBV. Yeah, which is still sensationally high as well.
It's amazing. Him and Trent's combination, phenomenal.
Yeah, this performance. This is going to be one of his very, very best full game, all-round performances, isn't it, Si? He was just astonishing.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. anfieldindex.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
The best New Year's deals are happening now at Tanger Outlets. Celebrate with up to 70% off savings from Nike Factory Store, Coach, Michael Kors, Under Armour, Polo Ralph Lauren, Kate Spade New York, and so many more. From activewear to accessories, beauty and apparel. Find everything you're looking for to kickstart the new year. The clock is ticking. Hurry into Tanger Outlets to save more. Hundreds of brands, unbeatable value. Plan your trip at Tanger.com.